right, beautiful people. There you have it. There you have it. He is with us today. We're live on Facebook and live on radio. It's the Honorable Judge Gregory C. Pittman, now Chief Judge in Muskegon County. How you doing today, Your Honor?
Oh man, PA, I'm so good, man. I'm about to give myself 30 days. I'm
Man,
good,
Chief
man.
Judge. You the first black Chief Judge in our area,
In
Muskegon.
in Muskegon, absolutely.
Again,
There's no black judges. I mean, except for Brother Waugh for about 30 days. I don't think he ever even heard a case back
so
in
what
that.
about Kent County? Probably not Kent County either. Then
That's what made me pause, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Ben Logan was the chief of the district court there for a little bit of his career,
okay,
if I'm
all
not
right,
mistaken. Yep.
all right. But you are, man. You beating down these doors for us to be Chief Judge in Muskegon County. If you don't mind, share with the community what that means.
Certainly. And thank you. And man, listen, before we go any further, it's good to see you, man.
Yes, sir. Good to see you, sir.
Good to
My
see
big
you,
brother.
man. My friend,
We've been through it's a lot of stuff going on in the community. We lost some great people.
yeah,
It's 2021, and even now in 2022. So
yeah.
it's great to see people like you, people I love and respect, and that's family.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I wanted to say that before we got any further down the road. Okay, so thank you, and I want to say thank you to all the people that have reached out in some kind of way to acknowledge and even celebrate, if you will, my appointment by the Michigan Supreme Court to the office of Chief Judge of both 14th Circuit Court and Muskegon County Probate Court. So what is a chief judge, man? Besides the fact that they did not give me one extra dime,
No credit card.
no credit card, no nothing. But actually, the Michigan court rules call for, there's a requirement in those Michigan court rules that every court, every trial court would have a chief judge. It's in fact called the Chief Judge Rule, 8.110 of the Michigan Court Rules, if I'm not mistaken. And it is a position that is selected to be essentially the head of the court system, both ceremonially and administratively, for that court. And back in the old days, each trial court had its own chief judge. There was a chief judge in probate, there was a chief judge in circuit, and there's a chief judge in district court. Probably about, I'd say maybe 10 years ago, the Supreme Court made the move to where they thought it was appropriate to consolidate courts into having one person serve as chief judge of more than one court. So here in Muskegon, it was kind of determined that there should continue to be a chief judge in district court, and that's Judge Randy Castrava, who I think does a magnificent job there as chief judge. And here they have consolidated that chief judgeship into one person, me, for 14th Circuit and for Muskegon County Probate.
Wow.
And my responsibility really is essentially to be at top of the organizational chart for the courts, to lead the administrative decisions that have to be made regarding the resources and the legitimate operations of the court itself. Of course, we have wonderful administrators. I have the best court administrator, a young lady by the name of Sandra Vanderhyde, and the assistant uh, court administrator, Alicia Riedel, and our probate court administrator, a guy named Craig Monette. All three of them do an incredible job. Um, but they take their direction from the bench, and I am sort of the leader amongst the equals on this bench.
The leaders among the equals. Wow. Who made this appointment? Was it the governor's office or what?
No, the appointments of chief judge all over the state of Michigan is determined by the Michigan Supreme Court,
Oh,
and ultimately by the Michigan Supreme Court Chief Justice, uh, who is Chief Justice McCormick. So of course, she gets plenty of advice, information, fact gathering from her administrators, and they make a recommendation to her, and she does her final diligence and makes the decision. Yep. So here I am, PA. Uh-oh, you froze
Heights,
up on me.
man.
Okay.
You here, Judge?
Okay.
I get you. You here? It might be on my end, Judge. It might be on my end. I think my system went off.
Okay. Yeah, you're breaking up just a little bit. Yes, sir. Mihan to get you tight over there. I know Mihan is working on it. Uh-oh. I guess this is kind of what happens when you go live, huh? Okay.
Hey, Judge, I think we back. Judge.
You think we're back? Hey, I was just getting ready to do my best Luther Peebo Bryson hook up here and sing something.
So I guess you were by yourself.
Yeah, and if I had started singing, I would really be by myself. Everybody would be gone.
Hey, but shout out to Spectrum Cable here in Orlando, man. I don't know what's going on, but
oh, okay. All right. Well, at least you're in country, man. You're not over in the motherland these days. Woo. Right now.
Hey, man, I'm wishing. All right. So, Judge, you were talking about you were appointed by the chief judge, and I think my internet went down after that.
Yeah, Chief Justice Bridget McCormick.
Okay,
is the person responsible, and essentially she is at the top of the entire Michigan State court system, from all of the trial, all of the appellate judge, all the appellate courts, and everything. So, man, I saw some folks even thanking or acknowledging this on the air, and I really appreciate it so much. So, one of the things I kind of wanted to really acknowledge about this PA is I've been on the bench now since 1998. So I am now in my, if you can believe it, my 24th year. You believe that, brother?
Wow, time is flying.
Is that amazing?
That's amazing. Yes.
So, and I can certainly recall back then that there was an interview conducted amongst many interviews when I was appointed, and the gentleman from the Chronicle who interviewed me was asking a series of questions guided towards the idea of being the first African American to serve on the bench, right? And as I think is absolutely appropriate for me to do, I made clear to him that technically, essentially, I'm not the first African American. Charles Waugh was appointed as a essentially a municipal court judge back in the old days when Muskegon had a local city judge, and Muskegon Heights had a city judge, and Ravenna had a community judge, and that kind of thing. I don't know if Brother Waugh even heard a case, but he had certainly earned the distinction of being that first person, and I always honor that. That memory. But what's drawing me to that conversation is that I tried to help him to appreciate, well, it's a big deal to be, the first or amongst the first, but let's not lose the focus of what this is really about. I don't want to be the last.
Right.
I think it's more important that it not be a matter of being so celebratory of sort of the breakthrough, if you will. And it's more important to, immediately begin to have the focus on what's next, who's next, how do we get next, how do we keep next, how do we continue to move forward and continue to rightfully take our place in our communities in the leadership and decision making roles that this community calls for. So it's in my heart and mind, PA, just like it is yours, and just like it is in any number of leaders that I'm aware of who I really respect. That getting here is getting here. Being here is about making sure somebody else gets here, amongst other things. Of course, that's done by being competent, being capable, being professional, being on point. So that the novelty of having this brown face in this seat wears off, and it becomes comfortable for people to see that brown face sitting in that seat,
Right.
regardless of who it is. So we are in a position now, we're in an inflection point in our court system here in Muskegon County. There's going to be an incredible amount of turnover in our court system. As we speak now, Judge Tim Hicks has just celebrated his retirement, and the tradition of hanging his portrait in the courtroom was done last Friday. And that seat has to be filled by an appointment from the governor, right?
Right.
And at this stage, I am aware that the process is down to now 4 candidates, if you will, out of a larger group who applied for the appointment. It's down to 4 people, and included in those 4 people is a brown face.
Yeah.
And that's Brandon Davis.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
and I would say this, that the 4 finalists, if I would call them that, the 4 who are under consideration, final consideration with the governor, is a strong group. All 4 of them are very, very worthy, very capable. They would be a honor, and they would bring great ability and integrity to the court. Any one of them. But I would certainly say this, and I have absolutely no say in the decision, so I think I can say this without jeopardizing or compromising anything here, that in the totality of the practice of law, as far as what is contemplated to be the responsibilities of this judge who would take this seat, Brandon Davis has covered all of that ground. Each of us comes to our judgeship with our own individual practices and the work that we've done, the exposures, the experience, and none of us have all of the experience of all manners of law to have practice, right? You know, I
Right.
came to the probate court bench and I had virtually no probate uh, experience, but I certainly had the wherewithal and the intelligence to be able to learn it and do it well. And I think I've done that.
Yes.
But uh, the breadth of experience that and the level of uh, professionalism and competence that Brandon brings, if he's the selection, is without parallel.
Hmm.
He is as worthy and is certainly capable. And I'm hoping, amongst all of them, any of them I would welcome as a colleague because they're all worthy and capable and people of integrity.
Right.
But from the perspective of what I said 24 years ago, I certainly want to see Brandon Davis have the opportunity for this conversation about who's first and how many of us it goes away. And what replaces that conversation is Black folks are taking their rightful place in this community as decision makers and as leaders.
That's good.
That's what
Progress.
I'm about.
Judge, we had a question from Will Roberson. Are you still in family court, or is this a completely different role?
My man. I just saw Will for the first time in quite a while, man. Good to see you, brother. Thank you for the question. I will remain for the time being in my current rotation in family court. Um, as I said, there's going to be a lot of turnover here. Judge Marietti's term will end at the end of this year. And here's something very exciting, PA. I just yesterday testified before the House Judiciary Committee, the House Michigan Legislature, House of Representatives Judiciary Committee, on in the I guess essentially the final step to to getting a bill onto the governor's desk to create a fifth circuit court judgeship, a new judgeship here in Muskegon County.
Wow.
And so what we're looking at, and if they vote favorably, we've already gotten the favorable vote from the Senate. We've gotten the approval of the local county commissioners to provide the funding that's necessary for that fifth judicial seat. All that's left is that last vote in the House. And we believe that will go favorably, and this then will go to the governor's desk for signature. And that's going to be a new judge. So that's two new judges.
Okay.
The seat that Judge Hicks is departing from, that's a third new judge. And it is absolutely my intention, I'll announce that here and now, that if the Fifth Circuit Court seat is created, and we all believe that it will, that I am going to be a candidate for that new circuit court seat to move from probate court to circuit court and fill that fifth seat. So if that happens, then there will be a third seat open. That would be the seat that I would vacate if I were to be fortunate enough to retain that seat in circuit court, the new seat in circuit court. So you're talking about in the space of roughly 9 months, 9 to 12 months, at least three new judges potentially in this court. That's a lot.
Slide. Exactly.
That's a big turnover.
Judge, what would be different if you go to circuit and win this position, that seat?
Well, circuit court has a little bit different, jurisdiction. That's first. Second, there are administrative decisions that are made only by circuit court judges that do not allow for the involvement of probate court judges.
Okay.
things like the selections of certain types of uh, uh, seats of authority in the county that have to be filled, that are filled by the circuit court bench, by the decision of the circuit court bench. Um, it certainly opens the door to a easier rotation into possibly civil and criminal work for me. Here's the thing, and I don't want to confuse people, but all of us who are on the circuit and probate benches are what's called cross assigned, meaning we can hear cases in the other courts. That's why I can be a family court judge, which is technically under circuit court, um, as a probate court judge,
Okay.
and vice versa. So essentially, we can kind of still all hear the same stuff, but administratively, for purposes of some other things outside of the purview of strictly court activity, being in circuit court is probably a place where I want to be and want to end my career there.
So, are you getting close to retirement, Judge? That's
Woo!
a tough one, huh? You got kids in
The,
college. I know. I know.
yes,
I know.
sir. Two of them in grad school, and it ain't getting no cheaper, my man. No cheaper. Um, the short answer is I am not close. The more involved answer is that I can see something a little bit over the horizon though.
Right. Before we get into politics, I want to ask you about politics, though. Why did you continue to come to the county building during during the height? Well, we're still at the height of this pandemic, but there was a lot of uncertainty out here in the atmosphere. But you continued to come to the county building to hear your cases, even though they were virtually. But you still
Yeah.
came to the county building. What made you do that? Because you could have stayed at home comfortably and worked from
Yeah.
the house.
Yeah. Well, you know what, PA? Couple things, man. The most important is that part of the reason that I think I've had the longevity, and I think any good judge who has longevity, is that you separate yourself from the work that you do in the appropriate way. You know what I mean? And my home is my home. That's your boy's safe place. That's my family. That's where we decompress. That's where we enjoy one another. That's where we continue to be the human beings that we are. My job is here, and I never wanted that environment in my home. You know, my wife and I, agreed that this is our sanctuary, and it just didn't feel right to me that if I had the opportunity and the capacity to be able to be here where this business should be conducted, except for the scourge of COVID. If I can do that, I should continue to do that, and I think it's worked magnificently for me. That's not everybody's call. There were some who were even immune compromised that this made a whole lot of sense for them not to be here. I'm not that guy. I'm in good health. Um, God has been good to me and has protected me from this COVID thing. And I've been smart and taken the vaccines. I got all three of them. I got the two and the booster. And if they come out tomorrow and announce that there's a fourth booster, your boy will be in line for the fourth booster. I promise you that.
Right. I'm with you, Judge.
No ifs, ands, or buts. We ain't got to debate it. I ain't got to continue to pray on it. I prayed already. The Lord has said that's why I created these smart people to be able to come up with these processes. Get that shot and then leave the rest to me.
I'm sure you had some of your friends at Michigan State. You probably don't call some doctors you don't talk to. They kind of gave you. You got Dr. Orlando Burt as your best friend. You know what I
Yes,
mean? I'm
sir.
sure you don't talk to him, and he gave you the clearance.
Well, you're absolutely correct. I know plenty of people who are in this business who understand these things, who have said that you should move forward with that. Uh, but they don't make that decision for us, do they, PA?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
We have to be personally invested and responsible to make that decision for ourselves. And I promise you, man, I'm fine with that. Here's the thing, and I'm not here to criticize anybody. Everybody's got to make their own calls, got to make their
Right.
own decisions. How many things do we put into our body daily or weekly that we don't know anything about
Facts.
what is entailed in the creation of those things that we ingest?
Right. That's true. It's
You
true.
know, I mean, our 45 did a whole lot of dumb stuff and was a terrible president, the worst president in the history of this country, and it will only be seen more and more as the facts continue to unfold. But the one thing that he at least listened to some people around him and did was he removed the barriers to the time barriers that are involved in the normal course of creating these vaccines and other means by which to treat people medically. That's all he did. He just moved those things out of the way with the advice of people who are much, much smarter than you and I and him, and made it available to be marketed in a much quicker fashion. But none of the safeguards were removed. None of them were removed, as far as I understand.
Right. Right.
You
We
know,
got a question from Doug Wood. He's down here in Florida, down in Miami for the winter time, snowbird from
hey,
Orchard View. Do
that's
all
who I
judges
want to
run
be. I
partisan
want,
for office?
I want to be a snowbird, brother.
It's only
Go ahead.
69 degrees today, Judge. I don't know, man.
Oh my God. What's his question?
Is it do all judges run partisan for office? Is it partisan? He probably
Um,
meant nonpartisan.
right. Well, either way, I mean, the question is clear for me. Um, Here in the state of Michigan, I can't speak for the state of Florida, but here in the state of Michigan, judges run as nonpartisans. You do not declare a party to run for a judgeship, except in this small exception. Those who are on the Michigan Supreme Court are nominated by a party at their party convention to be able to run in whatever primaries and then go on to the general election in November. So those 7 Supreme Court justices have to come through a partisan sort of vetting process before they get to the ballot where they are elected. But every other judge, from the Court of Appeals on down to the municipal court judges who are on the east side of the state, all run nonpartisan. So
So,
I don't
Judge,
run as a Democrat or a Republican.
are you connected to any party?
My entire life, my entire electoral life, I have always considered myself to be independent because I have voted for people. I haven't voted for parties. I vote for
Uh-huh.
people. I vote for who I think is suited for the office to which they aspire. So no, I don't really consider myself totally connected to any party. Nope, never
No.
have, never
Uh,
have.
well, let's talk, if you don't mind, talk a little bit of politics. We have seen some redistricting. I can't get that word right today. In regards to the congressional map,
Yeah, yeah,
which mean Muskegon now will be connected with Ottawa County and Kent County, part of Grand Rapids, when it come down to our representation in DC.
yeah.
That was big.
That's huge. All of that is huge. You know, the our electoral map in the state of Michigan has been tortured over the years to create uh, these favorable congressional and county commission type districts and things like that. And if people really took a look at what the electoral map looks like and what these congressional maps look like, it's the weirdest looking stuff in the world. You know, you got a little corner of this county here and a little piece of that county there, because they're creating these natural constituencies that will vote favorably for one party or the other. And this commission was created in the effort to say, let's stop doing that, and let's create a congressional district map that makes sense based upon population, based upon contiguousness, based upon what communities really look like, and let people be competitive in places where they can compete, as opposed to automatically knowing that nobody Democrat will ever win that seat or nobody Republican will ever win that seat. So
Right.
there's going to be a million challenges to that. There's going to be challenges filed. Essentially, I heard that as soon as the proposed districts were placed on the record, people were filing lawsuits that day, the next day.
I know that in Detroit they did. I know they did. Yeah. Jennifer Ross mentioned that it also occurred here in Muskegon County, where they reduced the county commissioners, I think, from 9 to 7.
Yeah, but see, there's a little different process. The process here happens, if I'm not mistaken, on a regular basis.
Right.
That the county commissioners look at what the districts within the county are for selecting county commissioners. The congressional piece used to be within the discretion of generally the party that was in power every 10 years or so after the census, right? And what the voters did is they elected and created this districting commission, which is nonpartisan, selected in a nonpartisan way with certain types of representation from across the spectrum, to do this without being connected to any party. So it should be a cleaner process. It should be less partisan. It should be less involved in putting your thumb on the scale and trying to create a good map that serves the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. But in the county, it's still with the commissioners, and those commissioners, if there's a majority of commissioners for one party or another, it allows for them to be involved in the process. And then there is a group that makes that final decision that includes, I believe, the county treasurer, county clerk. I think the county prosecutor is a part of that.
DJ is on there too. Yeah.
And they make the final decision about who or what the districts will be. And it still has the potential for partisanship because each of them comes from a party, right?
Right. Right.
You know, so
I know I want to get into action about the city election and new people in the city.
Sure. Let me stop getting into the weeds on that. Then
No, you're okay. But Henrietta Hadley had a question: how will this impact Muskegon County in regards to the congressional one?
Well, I think it's going to kind of stop us from being. I think the current second congressional district, which Muskegon is a part of, if I'm not mistaken, we go as far up north as where up to Luther somewhere.
Right. Right.
And Muskegon County is for all intents and purposes, regardless of what people from Grand Rapids or Detroit say, it's an urban area.
Right.
So I think the way I understand, and I haven't looked at all the redistricting, but the way I understand it, they kind of moved us more
East.
east
Yeah.
into more urban type areas, along with towards Grand Rapids, part of that and that kind of thing, as opposed to being more rural as we were up north, which kind of was not necessarily a ideological or demographical fit, so to speak, if I can say it that way. I don't really know all of their thinking, but it certainly makes sense that we would move a little more east and a little less north in our district anymore.
Well, Muskegon elected a new mayor. Ken Johnson was sworn in.
Yes, sir.
I think last week or this week, and last week, and then Willie German was made vice mayor by
Okay.
a
All right.
4-3 vote.
Excellent.
Uh,
Excellent. Good man. Both
yes,
both good,
yes.
both good
Your
men.
thoughts
Both good
on
men.
that?
Well, I'll just say they're both good men. I know Mayor Johnson uh, as an acquaintance, and I've always enjoyed my conversations, and I've always thought that he was somebody who had a conscientious belief in doing what he could for the city of Muskegon, and I wish him well. I know Willie German a little better, and have great respect for him. We served together on a nonprofit board, and I know that brother has always been about trying to do the best he can for this community, and to make sure that the urban core of the city of Muskegon is really well represented. And I wish him well, and I pray for both of them to have good tenures as the leadership of that board, of
And
that commission.
downtown, we got to acknowledge the work Tasha Oaks. I know they gave her praise in the newspaper that Muskegon Public Schools sent out to the community, praising her for her service. Uh,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
she has taken to the sunshine state also.
Sunshine and no state income tax, man. Y'all doing it big in
Yes,
Florida, man.
it's a
Well,
destination. It's a destination, Judge. Um,
absolutely.
Great. She did it great. She had an open seat though, and
Yeah.
I didn't know they already appointed someone to that seat.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that last night. I am fully aware of one of the who I thought was an incredibly capable and competent candidate. My niece, Courtney Williams, who interviewed for that position. So my understanding is there was a selection made. I look at that, and I want to say this about that, if I could, PA. Of course,
Sure.
I don't dig too deep into anybody's politics, but Tasha Oaks did, I think, an incredibly wonderful job
Right.
as a very important and very necessary voice as part of the mix of that school board. Tasha was clearly, obviously, those of us who know her, she was a professional woman, and an
Yes.
African American professional woman who served with distinction. And she was really the only voice at the end of her term on that board who had children who were in the school district.
Yes. All of them.
Tasha Tasha is leaving as her children are leaving the school district, in addition to her going to Florida, but she's vacating that seat as she leaves after her children have matriculated through Muskegon public schools. And, the opportunity to have a diverse set of voices on that school board. Remember, you're talking to an old school board president, right?
Right. Right.
You're talking to a cat who is on the oversight board of three very unique charter schools across the state of Michigan.
Exactly.
I am fully invested in the idea of K through 12 education and what I think make sense for us to be able to educate our children. And it just seemed clear as a bell to me that you have the opportunity to replace a professional African American woman who has children in the school district, which is a voice that needs to be a part of the conversation at that highest policy making level at that school board. You have the opportunity to replace her with, there were two African American female candidates, both of whom I think would have done a marvelous job, who have children in the school district, who would continue to be that unique voice as part of the diversity of voices on that school board. And for whatever reason, inexplicably, there were those who decided that that voice was not needed in this particular iteration of that school board. And I don't understand that. It makes no sense to me. And there were people, PA, who were involved in that decision who I would certainly think understand and know better that the opportunity for that sort of voice, a parent, the contemporary of others who have their children entrusted to Muskegon Public Schools, wants to be a part of the discussion at this administrative highest policy making level. And they were locked out for whatever reason. And here's the other thing that really I don't understand. I know that these African American females are products of this community.
Right.
They're ours. They are our students who went through Muskegon Public Schools. They grew up in our neighborhoods. They have their children in the same place where they went to school.
Right.
And if we, as leaders in this community, and I'm now speaking to this Muskegon Public School Board, and I'm speaking to factions of this Muskegon Public School Board, if you consider yourself a leader, if you consider yourself a trailblazer, if you consider yourself a person who not only has ascended to and achieved the highest level of policy making in that school district, but as I indicated early on in this show, also is considering the idea that there should be people who will follow me, or in that case, follow you.
Right.
If you go out and you are attempting to pave the way and inspire young African American students who came through that school district, went away, got credentialed, got educated, came back to this community, made roots, created their family, followed themselves out of that school by bringing their children to that school, and now want to be connected and be part of helping that school go forward in its growth. And you can't see your way to be able to say, you know what, that's the kind of person that I can support as being part of this public school board, especially as I am about to depart this public school board.
Exactly.
I have a serious question about what truly is your motivation. What are you thinking about? What is it about the future of young African American leadership to be a part of the fabric of the school district, and by extension our city, if you don't pave the way and make it possible for these people who are interested to have their opportunity to be heard? PA, let me end with this. Obviously, I'm not going to be in this seat forever.
Right.
And I'm not arrogant enough, nor foolish or ignorant enough to believe that I am.
Right.
And I have to consider, as part of my responsibility, how do I make it accessible for someone else who looks like me, who's done the work that I've done, who's made themselves available, capable, and are competent and professional to have the equal access to the opportunity to be here? How do I help make it possible that a Brandon Davis can ascend to this seat, not only because of what he's capable of doing, but because of what I've done to make sure that he has a good opportunity to do that? Or a Kendra Robinson, who's another outstanding young African American female attorney in this community. Why aren't people on our school board thinking the exact same way? That's not racist. It's not racism. It's not favoritism. It is having and creating the opportunity for all communities to have a stock and a say in what happens in our community leadership. And they
So,
didn't do that, and I'm troubled by that.
well, we know that there were 3 votes in support, and I know Louis Churchwell was on board with that. But then there was 4 votes against.
Yeah, well, I think the vote was 4-2 because there was only 6 of them.
6 of them there.
Because Tasha would have been the 7th vote, and
Okay,
she
and,
couldn't,
and part of that 4,
and she couldn't vote. Mhm.
do we know part of the 4? I know Billy Bruce was part of the 4, and do we know the other 3?
Well, I know that my understanding is Louis Churchwell and Bill O'Brien saw things the way I'm the way I'm saying things might need to have been seen.
I guess the
And
question we should be asking Billy Bruce is, what was she thinking? Because now we have a school board with with none of them having kids in the district.
well, I think that's a legitimate question for all who voted in the opposite to explain when they had the opportunity to bring that voice along with all of the other voices, all of the other relevant and rightful voices. I'm not saying everybody's got to have kids in the school district.
Right.
When I was on the school board, I didn't have children at that time, but I was at my time the younger voice of the community that was a part of that school board. There were people on that school board, Heights School Board, who did have children in the school district. There were people who had retired and were at the end of their career. There was me at the beginning of my career. There was a spectrum of voices and perspectives that I think bring quality and bring vigor and rigor to the discussions that take place about how we get our kids educated and get them through the school district. Well, now we have a school board that has absolutely nobody on that board who is able to speak to the idea that I have a child here and I am fully invested, as much or more so, if so to speak, than anybody else here, because the decisions I make not only affect everybody else's kids, they affect my children.
Exactly.
But here's the other thing. As an African American leader, and people say that I am, and I accept that. As an African American leader, I am derelict and I am 100% wrong if I don't, in the course of that leadership, try to make sure that there are people who look like me who have access to the opportunity to be a leader.
That's right.
I'm not saying that I got to open that seat up and nobody else can be there, because what we want is we want the best. We want people who are fully invested in making good decisions. But we also want the diversity, the equity, and the inclusion of people who look like me and you as part of that. And if there are people there who look like us and certainly pay lip service to the idea that this is what I think is important in amongst the many things that I think are important, but don't walk don't walk that walk. They talk that talk, but don't walk that walk. It's a disservice to this entire community to have that sort of perspective and that sort of divergent behavior, that sort of divergent action. You should do what you say you intend to do. And if you're not doing that, I'm not here to say, but it could be seen as hypocritical. It could be seen as to what is it that goes into that thought process that pulls you off of that square? Are there other matters and factors that you are taking into account that pull you away from the very simple and very profound idea that access to this leadership has to come through some of the work and effort that I put into paving that way? Now, that's just the way I think we have to think, because nothing is given to us.
Exactly.
We have to earn it. And we have to be strategic in trying to get to it so that we can have our rightful place at that table. I'm done.
He drops the mic. We got a few comments I got to read, Judge. Attorney Brianna Scott said, yes, it's about leaving a path for others that look like us to have opportunity to rise to the leadership ranks. I feel sometimes people are too selfish to look beyond themselves.
I think that's a very profound statement. Listen, PA, my brother, I wouldn't be who I am and where I am, first of all, obviously, without the blessings of the Lord, but without people like a John Sidnor, who, when he was the superintendent of Muskegon Heights Public Schools and knew I had come back to this community to begin my professional career, he came to my house when John Terrell, my uncle, my wife's uncle, and my uncle by marriage, moved on to the intermediate school district to become a board member there. And he came to my house, and he didn't talk to me a whole lot. He talked to my dad and said, we want him to put his name in for the appointment to the school board. We want to groom and to help him become a leader of our community. Who am I not to do the same thing, PA?
Exactly. Right.
Who is anybody on that Muskegon Public School Board to not do the same thing, especially when people stepped out and voted for you because they felt like you were going to be a voice for those who felt they normally did not have a voice? Then you get there and you forget who you are, how you got there, who put you there, and what it is that you owe to those people, especially the young people who come back and say, may I have the opportunity to continue what you've begun?
A few more comments, Judge. Jennifer Ross, who I know, who do you decide to run? You need to talk to Jennifer because she'll get you up in there. She'll make it happen. so now we find candidates for the next election. At some point, it is time to move out the way and pass the knowledge along. Tyree, relevant understanding culture needs are extremely important and essential to the well-being of the community. That's just a fact. Your classmate,
that's my flat brother right there. Are you?
Your classmate, Uncle Kevin, I greatly respect and appreciate your commitment to supporting facilitation of open doors and opportunities for those who have not sat in these seats in institutions of influence. Attorney Brianna Scott, we'll never get ahead as a people until we can have
that mindset. Absolutely. Thank you, trustee, MSU trustee Brianna Scott. I guarantee you that she's thinking, as she's sitting in that very influential and important seat at Michigan State University, that there are other people who will want to be here that I might be able to help have the opportunity for access. That's all. We're not guaranteeing anybody anything, just the opportunity for access. And if you can have a voice in the decision that you're going to try to make a decision that gives life to the thought and idea of giving that access. You know, I guess I got the microphone here by myself here for a moment. And I would just simply say that I've heard a couple of people in their comments talk about moving aside and letting others have their opportunity. We were in a situation in this particular school board, this particular school board decision where there wasn't even a requirement or a necessity to move to the side. There was the opportunity to say, come alongside and let's nurture, let's mentor, let's have you have the opportunity to have the benefit of the experience that I have gleaned over the years, so that your transition from activist and interested to being a effective and capable school board member would be even that much more smooth of a transition. And that was failed. You didn't even do that. You didn't even have to move. You didn't even have to go anywhere. All you had to do was say, I think this young person has done everything that we would want and ask our young people to do. And she's come back and she's ready to contribute. And I want to give her the opportunity to do that while I'm still a part of this and can help nurture you. But I guarantee you this, PA, I see you back.
Yes.
Brother, when it's time for me to go, nobody will be asking me to leave. I will be gone. I promise you that. I will not stay longer than my time and my effectiveness and my need to be here would be of any value. The only way you grow, man, is that you keep getting new blood pumped into you. And I'm having my leadership moment. I've had my opportunity to be of influence. Now it's time for me to start thinking about moving on and letting somebody else have their moment. And I promise you, I am dedicated to that proposition.
Thanks, Judge. The internet won't let me be great today, man. So
that darn internet.
Yeah, man. Net neutrality, bro. I'm in ground zero right here in Orlando. I'm in ground zero now.
Well, look, man, you're gonna have to come out of your multi-million-dollar studio in your Jupiter Island home there in Orlando, and you're gonna have to go downtown where the rest of us are and work in just the regular old studio.
Yeah. Pay that few $1,000s a month. Yeah, absolutely. But actually, our towers is across the street, so we write. We in a good setup, but the internet thing that's problematic right there. So we got two providers here at this location to make sure we stay on air. But
PA, you a bad dude, man. Listen, I don't think Can I say this real quick?
Sure, sir.
I think people sometimes take for granted the greatness of people because we know each other. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're Paul Billings. You are a tight man from over on Maffitt, right?
Baker Street Bombers.
Baker, street over. You're a tight man from Baker, right?
Yes, sir.
And you've stayed humble and all that kind of thing. But my man, you've created two radio stations in totally different regions of the country. You inform people from coast to coast, from the Gulf to the Great Lakes. If people didn't know who you were and they just saw your story somewhere, people here in Muskegon, us, they would say, boy, that's a bad dude right there, man. He did all that from nothing. But because you Paul Billings from Baker Street, we kind of discount that a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, the love is there. I mean, I get you, Joe. The love is there. And
I know it. The love, the
crazy.
respect. Everybody loves and respect. But the acknowledgement of that kind of thing, man, I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Joe. I'm glad you stuck out because I'm very soft inside, right? You know that, right? Because I'll start crying in a minute, Judge. So I want But thanks to Dr. Podgers on making me know that math, though. That's what's up. Dr. P. Yeah, Judge, Alabama, Georgia. I know you want to talk about the beatdown they gave Michigan. Go ahead and get it out the way because I know how you feel.
Well, you know, I'll say this, man. I'm in family court, and normally I sign petitions for the removal of children for that kind of abuse.
Ooh.
Why even show up? Oh no, wait, PA. If we're gonna talk Michigan, let's not talk about that beat down that they took. Let's talk about the basketball team punking out at midnight from playing Michigan State because they knew they was gonna get rolled. Ooh, we don't have enough people. Ooh, we can't play. Michigan State has driven from East Lansing to Ann Arbor in the hotel, had their workout, and they find out at midnight,
they was posted up. They was ready.
Huh?
I didn't know they had drove all the way over there, man.
They were there.
COVID is real, man. You know COVID is real, Judge. Come on.
Wait a minute. They had 8 guys who could play. A couple of them were walk-ons, and they felt like we didn't have enough scholarship guys to play, so we're gonna cancel. Why put a uniform on them then? Give them a cheerleader outfit and let them put the big old raggedy-looking blue M on their chest and run around with that.
Brutal, man. Now you know I'm a Michigan fan. You know how impartial I am. That you know how much I love Judge. He know I'm a Michigan guy, but I open up the flow so he can bash us.
Hey, man, they make it so easy. I mean, my God, just show up and compete. Take this butt whooping that you got coming. Just go and take it.
Man, we ain't trying to do that right now, man. Trying to demoralize our people. You know, we trying to recruit. All right, Judge. I'll see you later, man.
Hey, man, I love you, man. Take
Love
good care
you
of yourself. All right.
All right.
And thank everybody for being a part of the show, man. I really appreciate them. Thank you.
All right. Peace and blessings.
God bless, brother.